Hey there, Tanya here with your August 2025 Community Content Calendar Overview. And this month, once again, we are using the Monday Start calendar. Remember, there is a Sunday Start calendar as well. The Sunday Start, you'll see a lot of purple on the cover, and the Monday Start has more black as its primary color. This, of course, is my old branding, so if you're somebody who's come to my website recently, you know my color palette has changed, but it didn't make sense to redesign the content calendar just because my primary brand has some changes. So we are looking at the month of August. And I know last month's video was a little on the long side, so I'll try to get to the point this time. But as always, I want you to document your stats. I always recommend doing that the last day of the month or the first day of the month. Depends on what platform you use in how your stats are reported. But at the very least, you want to document your new members from the last month, total members now, active members, and your engagement rate. If your platform does not do the math for you, your engagement rate is to figure out the percentage of members who are actively engaged. You want to take active members and you want to divide it by total members. In terms of what numbers we're shooting for, the average community is about 10%. When it's professionally managed, you're ideally you should get above 25% engagement, 50% engagement. I'm always shooting for the 40s in communities I run. Some communities, though, just by nature, especially if there's not a lot of people who get them or not a lot of people who serve them, will have 50% to 60% engagement. Paid communities naturally have higher engagement rates than free communities simply because people are paying to be there, so they tend to check in at least once a month. All right, so with that, we are going to get started. So for most of us, August is the last day of summer. Or at least if you live north of the equator, August is the last day of summer. If you are in some European countries, August is holiday, so you may not be working, your people may not be working. For others, August is like that first day back for fall. Where I live in the U.S., school starts the second to third week of August usually. So, my husband will go back to work around the 8th, and everybody starts school of 13th or the 14th. So, for us, we no longer consider August summer in our house, but that doesn't mean it's not summer for other people, because for some people, school doesn't start until September. All right, with that, what are we going to do in the month of August? So first, we want to share our top goals for the month and invite our members to do the same, especially if June and July have been your quiet months and you guys start ramping up in August. That's a great way to get people charged and energized. Let them share their goals, and that will help you see how you can best support them. On the second, discuss a major trend you see shaping the industry. On the third, share a resource that has helped you recently and ask for recommendations. The fourth, post a simple checklist to help members with a common challenge. I did a lot of these sorts of simple checklists, almost like a course lesson in a tiny post in the month of June. And I have to say, I got great responses. People really like that bite-sized training. On the 5th, share a quick wins story and invite members to celebrate theirs. So the key here is story, right? Tell them a story about your win. Don't just say, oh my gosh, highest month ever. Or, oh my gosh, I have 22 people in my new program. Tell them the story about that. What does that mean? What does that represent? And more than anything, why should they care? Always include that in your story. Why should they care? What does it mean for them? On the 6th, highlight your most active or engaged members. We do that the 6th of every month, mainly because it usually is enough time to get you to pull your stats from the prior month and then figure out who your most engaged members are. On the 7th, a poll for what's the biggest hurdle members are facing that month, right? So we've spent most of the summer asking them what do they want to accomplish, but what's their barrier? What's their challenge? If you're serving a mom community, if you are serving a community that relies heavily on the academic year calendar, likely it's going to be back to school is going to be their biggest hurdle. Their routines are changing because other people in their house's routines are changing. On the 8th, share an inspiring quote and how it applies to your field. On the 9th, post a tip for staying productive during busy times. This is really helpful to those who are ramping into that back to school season. The 10th, highlight a member's recent contribution. The 11th, promote a back to school or end of summer offer. On the 12th, share a personal story about overcoming a challenge in your field. On the 13th, ask members to share their favorite learning resource. On the 14th, share a myth versus fact post related to your niche. On the 15th, show a sneak peek of an upcoming project or a launch. On the 16th, share a humorous moment from your week and ask members for theirs. On the 17th, post a beginner's guide to a foundational skill in your field. So again, right, we want to touch, at the very least, we just want one, if not two posts every single month that really do target those beginners. On the 18th, share top 3 mistakes to avoid post and ask your members for input. So when we say ask your members for input, it could be simply as simple as, these are the top 3 mistakes to avoid, boom, boom, boom. And then what would you add? Or am I missing anything? Or have you ever made any of these mistakes? Or how do you avoid these mistakes? Depending on your community, you have a variety of ways to do that. A call to action there. On the 19th, discuss a recent industry news item and its implications for the industry or specifically for your community, right? Not every community or online platform news item has the same level of impact on members of my community, right? I know Facebook challenges, like any updates with Facebook, or especially if Facebook's removing features from their groups functionality, then that impacts my people at a much higher rate than, say, if Go High Level made a change, or if LearnDash made a change, because fewer people in my community use High Level or LearnDash than use Facebook. But if school made a huge change, that would be big for my community, because a lot of my community members who are on Facebook are looking at school as a potential place to leave if they ever decide to leave Facebook. And I do have quite a few school members in my community, or school users, I should say. On the 20th, share a favorite productivity tool or app. On the 21st, run a poll. What kind of content do they want more of? Because August is a great time for you to plan your fall content. On the 22nd, promote an offer or freebie to help members with a specific goal. So if you've got a lead magnet, bribe to subscribe, whatever you like to call your free resources, this is a great time to show that. On the 23rd, share a success story or testimonial and the impact it had. This could be your own, or this could be of a client, a student, a customer. On the 24th, ask your members what's the best decision they've made recently. For those of you who run paid communities, this could be very telling, especially if a bunch of them say joining your membership. On the 25th, share your thoughts on balancing work and personal life. On the 26th, post a tip on staying motivated when progress feels slow. On the 27th, discuss a recent project or initiative and its outcomes. For me, this may be the day that I decide to really talk about downloading all of my live stream recordings from all over Facebook. On the 28th, highlight a favorite moment from your work this month. On the 29th, share a personal story about why you love what you do. On the 30th, promote your offer or event as the month wraps up. And then on the 31st, share an end of the month reflection and ask members to do the same. So that's your overview for the month of August. If there is anything that you need help or support with, I am just an email, DM, or honestly, comment on MemberVault or Loom away. I am always here to help and to support you, because honestly, I appreciate the fact that you have supported me in purchasing this content calendar. It means the world to me, and I just love hearing your stories of how engagement in your group has changed and how just the general vibrancy of your group has changed as a result of using these prompts. So please always tell me your good stories, but also if there's additional support you need, please let me know about that as well.